Women buried alive in the Middle Ages. A forgotten horror. In the meantime, subscribe to the channel if you are new and leave a like on the video. Now let's start. Tordesillas, Spain, April 12th, 1555. In the freezing darkness of a room barely lit by the flickering light of candles, an elderly woman struggles for every breath. Her hair, once a warm, shiny copper, is now snow white. Her once bright green eyes are dull, lost in the depths of a memory that no longer belongs to her. That woman is Joanna of Castile, daughter of the Catholic sovereigns Ferdinand of Aragon and Isabella of Castile, legitimate heir to the throne of Spain, queen never reigned, and prisoner for over 46 years. As life slowly drains away from her, one question lingers. Was it really madness that condemned her to decades of imprisonment? Or was she the victim of one of the most ruthless political conspiracies in European history? Joanna's story begins under glorious auspices. Born in Toledo on November 6th, 1479, third daughter of the Catholic kings, those who unified Spain and drove out the Moors, she received an exceptional education for a woman of the time: Latin, French, mathematics. Giovanna was described as extraordinarily beautiful, charming, elegant. No one could have imagined that her destiny would be to become the Mad Woman, and even less that she would be betrayed by the very people who should have protected her: her father, her husband, her son. As was customary for royal daughters, her life was determined by political alliances. At 16, she was sent to Flanders to marry Philip the Fair, heir to the Habsburgs. The marriage, celebrated on October 20th, 1496, sealed an important alliance between Spain and the Empire. The meeting between the two was overwhelming, at least for Giovanna. She fell madly in love. Filippo, blonde, charming, with refined manners, immediately conquered her heart. But what began as a fairy tale soon degenerated into a nightmare. Philip was known for his infidelity and the libertine environment of the Burgundian court, so distant from the severity of Spain. His continuous extramarital affairs tore Joanna apart, who reacted with violent jealousy. In one famous episode, she attacked a lady suspected of being her husband's lover, cutting her hair. During a ball, now close to giving birth, she remained to monitor Philip's every move, and that same night gave birth to Charles, the future emperor. Such episodes, crying, melancholy, anger, were soon labeled as signs of insanity. But was it really madness, or the natural reaction of a young woman betrayed alone in a foreign court? In 1504, with the death of Queen Isabella, Joanna became Queen of Castile. But a clause in her will allowed her father Ferdinand to rule only if his daughter was incapable or unwilling. A fierce struggle ensued between Ferdinand and Philip for control of the kingdom. In their midst, the legitimate queen, marginalized, manipulated. In 1506, Philip died suddenly at the age of 28, perhaps poisoned. Joanna reacted shockingly. She ordered the body to be embalmed and followed the coffin for months on a nocturnal pilgrimage through Spain. Refusing to enter convents out of jealousy towards other women, she even gave birth to her daughter, Catherine, during that macabre journey. This episode became a symbol of her alleged madness. But contemporary documents tell a different story. During that period, Giovanna was lucid, involved in political negotiations. Her behavior, although eccentric, was part of the mourning rituals of the time. It was the return of her father, Ferdinand, that sealed her fate. With the excuse of her madness, he had her locked up in the fortress palace of Tordesillas in 1509. She was only 30 years old. She would remain there for 46 long years. Initially, he kept a small entourage and his daughter Catherine at his side. But after Ferdinand's death in 1516, it was Charles, his son, who had become emperor, who continued his father's work. The isolation became total. Her daughter was taken away from her, her letters censored, visits forbidden. She lived in cold rooms, often in the dark, tied up during crises, subjected to painful and inhuman medical treatments. In 1520, during the Comuneros revolt, it seemed that freedom was near. The rebels proclaimed her queen, and she attended councils and audiences. No irrational behavior was recorded. She was melancholic, yes, but lucid. When Charles regained control, the isolation resumed with even greater cruelty. Her jailer, the Marquis of Denia, wrote to Charles describing methods of manipulation and psychological violence. Sometimes it is necessary to punish her. Other times, to make her believe that your majesty is coming. That way, we get what we want. The world was changing, but for Joanna, time stood still. She saw her son build a vast empire. Her daughters became queens throughout Europe. Meanwhile, she rotted away between damp, silent walls. In her later years, she was a shadow. She confused day with night, her body consumed by cardiac and respiratory pain. Yet close to death, she received a visit from the Jesuit Francesco Borgia, who found her lucid in discussing faith. She died on April 12, 1555. After almost 50 years of imprisonment, she finally found freedom in death. She was buried in Granada, next to Philip and her parents, a family reunion that life had denied her. Giovanna's story raises eternal questions. Was she really mad? Or was she a lucid woman, victim of a system that feared female power? The few letters that remain show a brilliant mind. The few who knew her closely described her as melancholic, never mad. In the world of the 15th and 16th centuries, it took very little for a woman to be labeled mad. An opinion, a misplaced emotion, a refusal to obey. One of the few sentences that have reached us directly from her is revealing, "If only they would allow me to govern, I would show them that I am the daughter of Queen Isabella." Not a delirious crowd, but a woman aware of the injustice she had suffered. The real horror in her story is not her alleged madness, but the calculated lucidity with which her father, her husband, and her son imprisoned her to protect their own power. A legitimate queen, buried alive behind walls of stone and lies. In Tordesillas, those walls are still standing. Those who visit them today walk the corridors where Joanna spent much of her life. But they are not just visiting a palace, they are visiting the scene of a crime. The systematic annihilation of a woman, a sovereign, by those who were supposed to love her. That's all for today. And what do you think of this terrible story? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're new. See you next time. Bye.